everybody, I'm Tommy, and you are on the boat. What's happening? I hope you all are having a decent evening. Mine's just been fantastic. Nina, good to see you. Barbara Wait, what's happening? Brock Bandy, Ashley G, for always, forever, for life. Good to see you. Renee B, how are you? Jamie Cotton, good to see you. So, most of us know who Savannah Guthrie is. Savannah Guthrie works on the Today Show. She's been around for a fairly long time, all things considering. Honestly, she's had a pretty illustrious career. Her mother has recently gone missing from Mass. Jeannie, hope you're doing better. Jamie Palmer, good to see you. Her mom has gone missing from a part of Arizona that people don't go missing from. Chickacherry Cola, good to see you. I moved from this part of Arizona. I lived in the Catalina foothills, and that's where she lived. However, she lived off of Skyline Drive and North Campbell Avenue when my family first moved to Tucson. Elizabeth, how are you? Well, good. We'll get to that in a second. Thank you, Elizabeth. So one of the reasons that I'm bringing this up, when my family first moved to Tucson, and by family, I mean my sister, when my older sister first moved there, she lived on Skyline and North Campbell. And she managed to get this house for almost nothing because it had been destroyed by a fraternity house that had rented it. I mean, it was in bad shape. But these are really nice homes. Everything in that part of the Catalina foothills, you're literally talking about millions of dollars for these homes. They are ridiculously attractive. Rue, good to see you. They're ridiculously nice homes. Her mom, by all accounts, was very sharp. She's in her 80s. However, she is still sharp as a tack. That's actually a quote. Let's do this real quick so I don't have to do it for the rest of the show. Yeah, I don't mean to bring up stuff like this. With all due respect, Elizabeth, you probably do. But there was somebody tonight on a different channel saying some horrible things about you. There are a lot of people in the chat. Yeah, there were. I think there was like 500 people in the chat. And look, here's all I'm going to say about that. I'm disappointed. I've always had a great deal of respect for that content creator, truthfully. But she didn't do any research whatsoever before repeating a long list of things that yeah, no big deal, man. It sounded like horse pooty. Well, I appreciate that. Well, here's the thing. There's a kernel of truth to the things that she was saying. However, she said a lot of things that were patently absurd. I'm not going to sit here and go over them because I don't do that kind of crap. I never have. I have talked about my past ad nauseum. There are videos out there that you can go watch. I have broken this down every which way you possibly can. I'm not going to do it again. What she did is unconscionable, because she was going after somebody and she literally repeated everything that this person says about me. My feelings are hurt, but I'm not the kind of guy that makes videos and goes after people. It's not who I am. It's never been who I am. And it sure as shit ain't going to start today. So if we could put some ones in the chat right now for Savannah Guthrie's mother. Nancy Guthrie, this is a bad situation. And the situation since I made the thumbnail, the situation has gotten a lot worse, right? What did you miss, Ashley? You missed Nora saying some things about me that were ugly. There you go. In fact, I think she called me a filthy effing pig at one point. But it is what it is, man. This woman needs our prayers. I'm going to guess, and I'm going to go out on a limb, and I might be wrong. But here's what happened in the last hour. They've changed this thing from being a missing persons to a criminal investigation. Something that they found at her house over there on Campbell made them coordinate, put up the crime scene tape, all of that. Maybe they found something in the house that was trashed, or maybe they have a ring camera. And that would have been my guess, is that when they go in there, most people in that part of the world have got a ring camera. They've got some kind of a security thing. Hey, Robert, good to have you here. They've got a security thing, a ring cam, something along those lines. And you would think that would probably catch what was happening. However, it could be worse than that. One of the other things that made me a little nervous is this. This falls squarely in Pima County. So you would be using, hey, Carolina, Canada, good to see you. Joanne Marie, I'm glad you're here. Just Joan, what's happening? Well, you're very kind. Mo, how are you? Uh, Maybe I had mixed opinions, but that only makes me human. Tommy has grown on me very much. Cheers, bro. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Um, yeah, you know what? It is very, very sad for her. And there's already people that are coming up with the theory that she leaned really hard left, right? And there are people that are saying, well, this is a political thing, and they're going after her mother because of politics. God, please don't let that be the case. I mean, honest to God, if we've gotten that messed up as a society, and hey, monk, you kind of have to give that a thought. One of the other things that is really difficult, yeah, Ashley G says it's devastating, and it really is, right? I mean, it absolutely, sadly is. Signs of a struggle, maybe, yeah, it could be, because one of the other things that they said was they believe that she was abducted and that she did not leave of her own will. So that could be a camera. It also could be showing signs of a struggle. Catherine J, good to see you. Here's the deal, though, on that. She's 83, and they said that it may have even happened when she was sleeping. This is actually a legitimate question. It really is. If it sounds crazy to you, it shouldn't. And here's why. I was about to say this, actually. So, GM, good timing, right? It's almost like you fed right into this. But this falls square into Pima County. So you would think that the investigation on this would be Pima County. They would more than likely, Sony, good to see you. They would more than likely bring in the FBI. And the reason they would bring in the FBI is because this is the kind of investigation that they're very, very good at. Cartels in Houston, they're not that far from the border. And the agencies that are investigating this, the Border Patrol are investigating it, the Department of Homeland Security, allegedly. Now, the Department of Homeland Security does deal with these kind of crimes. That's why when people called and told them that I was human trafficking, they actually had to come and take a look at me. Are charges more severe when people are over 65? Yeah, there is an enhancement for doing something like this to somebody that is in their 80s. There absolutely is. This is very disturbing. It is absolutely, yeah, FBI on board. That makes sense. However, Border Patrol, unless you think that somebody came up from the border, but they know a lot more than they're telling us. However, you can very often glean a lot by what they're not telling you, right? If by some chance, I mean, if you put it to critical thinking, unless the person that came to the door was all camoed out and had a balaclava on, you would think that they would be putting up a picture of whoever it was that entered the house, but they're not doing that. Don't know who's talking negatively about you, but I don't care. Get a hobby. Thank you, Rue. You know what? Rue never stops supporting the channel. Rue means a lot to me. It really does. Who is she exactly? No, that's okay, Taylor Miller. I probably should have gone a little bit better on this. Thank you again, Rue. I probably should have gone a little deeper on this from the beginning, but Savannah Guthrie is the one that you will know. She's been on award shows, right? She's hosted stuff. She's very, she's read questions at presidential debates, but she works currently on the morning show. So and it's her mother. And here's the thing. I heard about this from my mother. My mom heard about this before it was on the news because there are people in Tucson that are very tied into the kind of church community. The reason that we knew that she was missing was because her church called and said, hey, your mom didn't show up, or whoever she called. I don't know that it was Savannah, but she called somebody and said, hey, this is really odd, but Nancy didn't show up at church. Nancy always shows up at church. Apparently she's very, very active, which just makes it even more sad to me anyway, personally. Ash Bash, I've heard some tinfoil hatters saying they think it's to distract from the Epstein files. I feel bad because I feel like it detracts from the severity of the situation. I agree with you. It's an absolutely foul thing to come up with. My friend works on it as a cameraman for the Today Show and is supposed to go to the Olympics. Well, so was Savannah Guthrie. She is supposed to be out there for the Olympics for the opening ceremony. She's a huge part of the Winter Games. But, I can't imagine that she's going to go over there with all of this going on. It's just what a horrible situation for real. And the tinfoil hatters are going to come out in force. But this is the kind of thing that people do, right? They don't think about the kind of horrible shit, right? They don't think about the kind of horrible shit that this is going to do to the Guthrie family, right? To the people that that are still with us. Savannah being key, obviously. Savannah lost her father when she was incredibly young. The relationship she had with her mom is kind of, it's well known in the industry. She would have her mother on shows doing cooking and things like that. And her mother, I watched some clips of it earlier today. Her mom seems like a sweetheart. She officially withdrew from going to the Olympics. Well, you can't really blame her. And Ash Bash, you're right. I mean, nothing should take away from the severity of this situation. The entire world needs to be praying. Here's another thing that is unpleasant to talk about, but we're going to have to. She takes medication, and it's not apparently the kind of medication you can skip taking. She is not senile. She doesn't have any problems like that. She's very, very sharp. But they said she's not someone that could walk a couple of 100 yards without some assistance. Her mobility is not great. Beach girl, you can do better than that, man. Do you really believe that? Honest to God, do you really believe that MAGA people took her? That's harsh, man. That makes me even more sad. Me too, man. It really does. You know what, Louisa? It's a badge of honor at this point. You know, Louisa says, I'm sorry that sometimes they demonetize your videos. At this point, it's a badge of honor, and I'm doing all right. It's really funny how often that the video that they demonetize, I get a crap load of super chats on it. It's almost enough to make you believe in God. But I seem to balance it out. If they don't want a ransom, then it's something more personal. Well, and there has not been, to the best of anybody's knowledge, nothing has been reported about there being a ransom of any kind. And in terms of the conspiracy theories, I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to bust anybody's balls, but this is someone's mom missing. So when we start talking about, you know, this conspiracy or that conspiracy, if you want to just get ugly about this, here's what's going to happen, because this is what always happens. They're going to look and try to find all of the individuals who are registered sex offenders who are in that environment, who are close by there. And again, 83 people go, sex with an 83-year-old? It's not about sex, right? It's about control. It's about domination. It's about fear. It's about all kinds of sick shit that has nothing to do with sex. But the people that do it very often don't care, right? Age and things like that don't matter. It has nothing to do with attraction. And it's kind of important that people get that through their dome. But that's what they're going to do. They may not announce it in the news because it's unpleasant. Great questions. Do we know anything other than she's missing? Like, is her car, purse, phone, etc. gone too? What a great question. And the answer to that is tells us a lot about this, Taylor Miller. See, this is a true crime audience. She did not take her phone. She did not take her purse, right? She definitely did not leave in her own car. She had people that would come by and check on her on a regular basis. She does live alone. And I'll tell you something. I did not see pictures of her house, but I know that area so well. It's incredible. I've spent a lot of time on that street, exactly that cross street. And there aren't any small homes. Small homes on that part of the Catalina foothills. You know, you're looking at 4,500 square feet is a small house in that part. They're huge. Most of them have outbuildings. Most of them have pools and water features. These are mansions of sorts. They really are. I think it's bonkers. She lived alone at her age. She should have moved in with family. You know, I always think about things like this. Well, just Joe, no, she did not leave on her own. She absolutely, and they've made this very clear. She left the house against her will. How they know that, we don't know. But they don't want to tell anybody what they found at the crime scene. They're keeping that under their hat. But they are calling it a crime scene. If she was just somebody who was 83 years old and wandered off in some kind of a dementia haze or some kind of Alzheimer's haze, then this isn't the conversation that we'd be having. But sadly, this is far more serious than that. See, I agree with this as well, man. And Ashley G, I'm sorry, because Ashley G has said, I think for the third time now, this is just devastating. And it is. It absolutely is. I wonder if she had a doorbell camera. Cliff Ann, this has been on my mind too, Cliff Ann, because something they found out there. They either looked at a crime scene where it was obvious that she fought and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but at 83, I don't know that you're going to put up a tremendous amount of fight, even if you want to, right? I look at my mom, who's a little bit older than that, and my mom is just not in a position where she would be able to fight someone off. And it freaks me out a little because my mom is in the Catalina foothills. On the bright side, she's got a couple of really young bucks that live at the house. I have nephews that moved in when I left, and one of them is just a stone cold killer. He's a great kid. Sadly, he reminds me a lot of me, but he's a good kid, and he would jump in front of a bus for my mom. But it's scary to anybody whose parents are out there, because as you get older, this is a frightening possibility. The other thing that is really odd, correct, Christianese. Yeah, I saw that press conference as well. She does not have dementia. They said, in fact, that she was as sharp as a tack, but she absolutely has to have that medication, and it has already been more than 24 hours since she disappeared. So she definitely needs this medication, and she needs it quickly. Joy Marie says, I believe it was said that there was inside security cameras, if I'm not mistaken. I had not found that. That doesn't mean it's not true. This is absolutely something that is, hey, Michigan, good to have you here, Carrie. This is one of those things that is evolving very, very quickly. But the worst part of this, in my humble opinion, is the fact that they're calling the house a crime scene. And my heart just absolutely bleeds for Savannah Guthrie. I can't wrap my brain around what this must be like for her. It doesn't look good if they didn't let her take her medication with her. Sadly, I think everybody is feeling the same way about that, right? If this was somebody that they intended to take care of, they probably would have, done everything they could to get that. Renee B, interesting. My husband put some cameras in the elderly mother's house. We live in Texas, and she's in Florida. They can fail, not be able to get to a phone. Yeah. Nina, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. One of the other things is, they have those life alerts. I'm sorry, but life alert is one of the greatest concepts in history as far as I'm concerned. I really think this is absolutely amazing. It knows if you're standing upright, if you fall down, anything like that. So even if you can't get to it, they, on a lot of the bigger packages, they have a heart monitor. If the heart starts to freak out, they immediately make the phone call. So there are things that you can do. Nina, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys are fantastic. It is sad, right? Just Jones says she is in a neighborhood. Yes. No one has her on their cameras. Dude, this is a true crime audience, man. Y'all are sharp as hell. If she took a walk and something happened, maybe a neighbor camera caught it. I think that that's probably not going to be the case. And the reason that I say that is because of the fact that they're treating the house as a crime scene. I think it probably happened there. However, 2:25 in the AM in the UK, I appreciate that. So that's probably a crime scene. However, you're really astute about checking other people's cameras. I promise you that is what the government is doing right now, right? And the federal agencies, right? They're all doing that right now. They're going up and down Campbell. Now, one of the problems with that is this. This isn't the kind of neighborhood where the houses are lined up on the street. Most of these houses have very long driveways where you pull up and there's a fountain and a circular. I mean, these are really, they're mansions. So some people are going to have a security gate at the bottom, and those will have cameras. So I would imagine they're pulling all of that right now. They aren't releasing what they know at all. Ashley G said that, and she's right. It's a very, again, they even wanted to. Like I saw in a press conference, someone asked a question, and he said, I would love to be able to tell you more. But something happened at the house that led them to believe that this is nefarious. This has nothing to do with someone wandering off. I tend to agree. There has to be something that they found inside her house that made them think a crime scene. They don't just do that for giggles. No, they don't. And I think that the fact that they called in Border Patrol is odd. Tucson is, I mean, they say every place is a every place is a border city now. But it's a good distance from the border. Can't walk good. Yeah. She has caregivers and people that help her. That is absolutely a fact. She has people that come out every week to the house, and they said she wouldn't be somebody that could have walked off for any kind of a distance. They talked about 100 yards or more. They said something about it occurring at between 1 and 4 a.m., if I'm not mistaken. This was the theory that made them believe that she was taken while she was sleeping. Now, the fact that they know a time roughly, that very well could have something to do with a camera, because I don't know how they could have, any other way they could come up with that. I know, Taylor, this is hard, but you know something? It's a very difficult thing. As your parents start to age, I'm not a young guy. And as your parents start to age, I remember when my dad was still alive and they were gung-ho on staying in their house where they lived in Nevada, but it had stairs, like 3 flights of stairs. And it didn't make sense. My dad had fallen multiple times. And you know what? It was one of those weird situations where everybody talked to them about moving and they wouldn't do it. And to this day, they give me a crap load of credit. I think they just got tired of it. And I was the last person to call. But I said, you know what? Go down to Arizona. You'll be on a ranch. You won't have to walk upstairs. And it was one of those crazy things where at the end, my dad was like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And I was like, what? Okay. It was like that scene from Tommy Boy. Okay, I'll buy from you. It freaked me right out, honestly. Do we know if she had a car? She did not have a car. She was not driving. She had people that took her around. My understanding is that she could drive, but she wasn't a woman that was going out on her own a lot. Is it true a home burglary is an enhancement charge? Absolutely. Okay, and it's a little different than home burglary. What this would be, Renee B., is a home invasion. And number one, home invasion is a federal offense. Number two, they will throw the mother-loving book at you. I promise you. I've told the story on the lifeboat many times before, right? They do have those lift chairs for stairs, to be sure. No, she does not have dementia or Alzheimer's. They say she's sharp as a tack. I've told this story many times on the boat, but when I was in Lewisburg, we had these big vents on the floor that were like this big, and you could see right through it, right? I'm near Kolb and Sunrise, and there's a ton of cars going around the neighborhood. Tommy, helicopter is circling. Oh, boy, the ghetto bird is out. I know exactly where you are, too. God, I would be so fantastic if they could find her. That really would be fantastic, because I know where you are. Another Tucsonian. Tommy, Johnny, would your mom allow you to tell her she had to move because you say so? I think she would have slapped you both. No, there's no question. 5'2", she'd have beat the piss out of us. You know what? Northern Florida van, sadly, I mean, statistically speaking, it's not in her favor, right? But I want to believe that she's still alive. I like to keep hope alive. Statistically speaking, it's a bad thing. The way that this all went down is just really bad, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I knew a guy when I was at Lewisburg Penitentiary who he had burglary tools in the back of his car, and when he got pulled over, he didn't want the cops to find the burglary tools, right? Just didn't. So he made a run for it, and when he made a run for it, he bailed out of the car and he did a home invasion. Went in, got the keys from the people, stole their car, drove off in that. And he ended up turning what would have been a 4-year sentence into almost an entire life. He'll be in his late 70s when he gets out, and that's if he doesn't keep screwing up. Savannah Guthrie, born December 27th, age 54. She was born in Melbourne, Australia. So mom would be a Australia citizen. ICE, no, this isn't an ICE issue, I promise. She was, and she is an American citizen. Although Savannah was born there, her mom is a U.S. citizen. This was definitely not ICE related. Gene Hackman was a failure on several fronts. Yeah, you know what? That was just a tragedy. What a terrible end for a guy that had just such a beautiful career. My dad refused to move to a smaller place or an assisted living facility. A lot of people do, right? A lot of people do. He fell many times and 911 called me. You can't force change. No, you cannot. I wish that we could, right? It would make everybody a lot safer. I'm 68. I would not be afraid to live alone. But now being legally blind, it would not be safe. I'd be a target. And sadly, so are the elderly, right? The people on this planet that prey on people and do so in violent ways pick people that cannot fight back. I mean, that's a horrendous thing, but we'd be lying if we said it otherwise. It's so I would just implore everyone to keep the Guthrie family in your prayers, and I absolutely would stay watching the news. Her daughter is on the Today Show or something, isn't she? She is on the Today Show, and she's done a lot in her career as a journalist. You know, she's done presidential debates. There are going to be lunatics, I promise you, that are going to make this a left and a right issue. And for the love of God, give them shit, right? I mean, these are times that universally people should go, good God, what the hell is the matter with us? You know, what kind of world do we live in? If people start to point fingers at each other and start blaming it on a political party, we're in deep shit as a society. My mom refused to go to a home. She died in the home she lived in. You know what? That's kind of a beautiful thing, though. You know, that kind of is a beautiful thing. It's horribly hard when parents get very old. My dad is rapidly declining from Alzheimer's. I'm so sorry, Run the World. And it's so painful being the caretaker. I can't believe how many people try and take advantage of him. Sadly, I don't have a problem believing that, right? For real. If you look at scams that are run on people, if you look at it, almost all of them, they run on the elderly. And the reason they do is because they're from a much more trusting time. And as they start to fail, you can confuse the shit out of them with computer talk. It's absolutely awful, right? It is absolutely awful. You're right. I'm sorry, but that's about the best way that you could put it. And Run the World, as far as I'm concerned, you're a hero. I don't know if you've ever seen a poem called the Alzheimer's Poem, but it is one of the saddest things in the entire world to read. It really is. It talks about how this isn't who I am. I'm sorry. It's heartbreaking. It really is. There's something strange about this because they could have robbed her. Why take her? This is why I said, and I'll stick to this. The FBI and everybody else, they're not going to be looking at this as a crime for robbery or something like that. They haven't reached out within 24 hours to ask for any kind of ransom. So what they're probably going to be doing is looking up the freaks, looking up all of the people that are registered offenders. Sometimes it's cheaper to have caregivers come in rather than have them go to a good facility. Not only that, Renee B., but it gives them dignity. You know what I mean? Like, my sister lives a mile from my mom's house. My mom could just very easily live at my sister's house. My sister's house is huge, but she wants that independence. She wants to be in her own home. And you can't really blame anybody for that. That's not an effed up thing for somebody to want, right? I mean, that makes sense to me. So is this a federal crime? You said not state. Well, here's the thing. If it's a home invasion, the feds can pick it up. If it's kidnapping, the feds can pick it up. There are a shitload of opportunities for the federal government to prosecute this and to investigate it. Now, I can't say that they're going to. I can say kidnapping is a federal offense. Home invasion is a federal offense, right? Felon in possession of a firearm is a federal offense. But sometimes they pick up those crimes and sometimes they don't. I was talking about this on a show the other day, but in Michigan, there was a guy that had kidnapped women, and he didn't rape them. He just beat them, right? He was just a sick puppy, right? But 6 times this happened, and the feds never picked up one of them. It's just odd what they decide to pick up and what they don't. It's a federal crime if they take her across state lines or across an international border. But it doesn't have to have that happen in order for it to become a federal offense. If they cross state lines, it's definitely a federal offense, but that's not all that they have to do. You're right? Straight up, they don't. They don't have to do that in order for this to be a federal offense, because technically, kidnapping is a federal crime. In fact, back in the day, before all the drugs and all of the, there was bank robbery, there was kidnappers, and there were guys that were selling metric tons of drugs. They changed all those laws because they wanted to fill federal prisons. during an administration, and I won't say whose, because then everyone will call me a hack one way or the other. But during a specific president's administration, he built 27 federal prisons. And right after that happened, they changed all the laws, and they started taking people that normally would have gone to state prison and started putting them in federal prison. I know. Here's the thing. You have to kind of weigh both sides of the equation. I want my mother to be happy. I want my mother to feel independence. And all of us want to make sure that she's safe. I'm really blessed that I have a nephew who's in his mid-20s. He's probably 6'1". He's about 205 pounds. He's an athlete. He's in incredible shape. Good-looking little cuss too. But he loves my mom more than anything, and he stays at the house. And he doesn't. I mean, he gets really cheap rent. And more importantly, he can take care of her. And I pay her phone and her internet from here because she wouldn't put cable on. I mean, that's kind of who my mom is. So Johnny and I take care of that stuff from down here. Absolutely. Absolutely. It also can be considered a hate crime if the person that you're attacking physically is that old. So this is one of those things that's going to happen. Who saw or spoke to her last? Great question. She was with people from her church. Apparently, she is unbelievably active in the church. So she was out there doing some volunteer stuff, and she should have been back the following day to go to Sunday service. She did not. I was so lucky my mom realized on her own that a nursing home was the best place for her. That's fantastic. Truthfully, it is. And that's a blessing, right? It's a blessing that not everybody gets, but it's absolutely a blessing. Sorry. But I would like to make sure that all of us keep Savannah Guthrie and her mom in our prayers. Truthfully, the statistics say something about if they don't find you in the first 72 hours, she's already been gone 24. I know that the best of the best is in on this. They really are bringing in some heavy hitters. They're not leaving this. Not that the Tucson, the Pima County Police Force is bad. They're not. They're fantastic. But they're bringing in, you talk about assets, right? Like our friend said that they saw a helicopter over Cold. That's not far away from where she is. Taylor, she can drive. She just didn't do a lot of it. And she also had people that would come and check in on her. And if she's like my mom will still drive to church. But if not, there are people that come and pick her up all the time. Yeah. The reality is when you get that old, broken heart can kill you. You know what I mean? How many times have we seen someone who passes away and their significant other passes away 2 weeks later or 3 days later? I'll be honest with you. I think that's beautiful every time it happens. I'm sorry, I do. And the stories of the people that die within a minute of each other, you just think, wow, honestly, could you do any better than that? You look at the person you love and the both of you just sort of check out. I think that's a gift from God. But Barbara Waite, you are lucky. There are a lot of people, unfortunately, that there are people that don't respect the elderly. And I don't mean like the asshole that went into this person's house and kidnapped Nancy Guthrie. I'm talking about people that don't respect their own, their own aging family. There's a lot of people out there that are just predatory, and it's, especially in the world that I kind of have lived in, right? A lot of the people that I know who had drug habits were horrendous about this. We hear people come in the chat all the time who say, I write, $1,000 worth of checks a month to my kid because my kid has a drug problem. No, Raspberry Beret. And it's interesting because, like I said, I heard about this from my mother before I heard about it from anybody else. I called and I just said, hey, Ma, you're being safe and careful, right? And she goes, are you talking about the Savannah Guthrie's mom thing? And I said, as a matter of fact, I am. She said, I heard about it right after it happened because they don't go to the same church. However, they basically go to the same denomination, and these churches get together all the time. Tucson is a very, very active religious community. There are a lot of people in her church that really are going to be doing everything they can to. Asians worship their elders. They absolutely do. Yeah, Taylor Miller, my mom is right near there. So when I left Tucson, I lived in the Catalina foothills. I was probably 2.5, 3 miles from where this woman lived. But my sister lived on this street. When she first moved to Arizona, my sister has 5 kids, right? Sister Scoville has 5 children. So when they first moved to Arizona, they bought a place on Campbell, right near Skyline. And it was, I mean, it looked like, I had been there about 5 times. And I said to my sister, I think I'm going to go into town and find a place I can work out, right? My sister goes, what, do you need a weight room or something? I was like, yeah. She goes, we have a weight room. And the next thing I know, I'm going into a part of this house. I'm not kidding you. I had been there so many times. And there was just this entire other part of the house I had never seen. I think her house was 7,000 square feet or 7,500 square feet. These are big homes, right? Even the small ones in that neighborhood are big homes. I would imagine that that Nancy Guthrie had a very large home as well. Again, I didn't get a chance to see it before we went live, but it takes a hell of a lot of courage to show up and take care of aging parents. Yeah, and I think it's more than courage, honest to God. And I'm not blowing sunshine up your ass around the world, but there's also, it says a lot about your makeup, about your build, right? The cut of your jib. However you want to word it. It says a lot about who you are as a human being, because it's a responsibility that is often thankless, and it takes so much time and so much effort. And there are people that just wouldn't even dream of it. You know, I knew friends when I was a public speaker. I was the youngest guy on the crew, and a bunch of the guys that I spoke with had very elderly parents, and they just threw money at it, right? They went out of their way to try to put them in great retirement homes, but they weren't actively involved in trying to take care of them, and they could have. I mean, they had nothing but they had plenty of money. These guys made 40, 50 grand a month. But there are 2 kinds of people. There are those that take care of them, and then there are those who pay other people to take care of them. And I'm not mocking either situation, because sometimes you don't have a choice. But the ones that choose to stand up and take care of it personally, I got to tip my hat to that. It isn't an easy thing to do at all. But as hard as it is and as nasty as it is, it also can be a very particular kind of rewarding that, that you're not going to get any other way, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm going to the tablet because once again, my chat is locked up. I don't know why the hell that happens. I really don't. When did we stop taking care of our parents? It seems some people just want them out of sight and out of mind, says Cliff Ann. Sadly, that's the truth. Right? Roberta says, I moved my mom up near me. It made both of us feel better. She's been gone at least a decade. It was an honor to take care of her. I love that. I really do. But again, it says a lot about, like, I always sound like I'm pandering to the audience, don't I? But we have a very different kind of audience here. The people on the lifeboat are a lot more forgiving. There's a lot of people that are in recovery. This is an audience that understands mental health and mental illness like very few audiences I've ever seen out there. There's a level of respect and a non-judgment kind of crew here. We're really, I think we're different. The love of animals in the lifeboat, love boat, whatever you want to call it, boat, is another thing that's just over the top. And I don't think maybe I'm biased as hell, but this just seems to be a pretty loving audience. It also happens to be a wildly astute audience. The questions today from people have been fantastic. To reiterate, are they looking at cameras from other people? They are. But once again, this particular part of the Catalina foothills, you're literally at the foothills, right? Right where the mountains start, you're right there. So there's a lot of land for every one of these properties, and a lot of the cameras are going to be close to the house, which could be 100 or 200 yards away from the road that they're actually coming in off. And in a lot of cases, it's almost straight up. I lived in the Catalina foothills, and our driveway was so damn steep that it took 9 tries for the moving truck to get up our driveway. Like it was like this. I did some filming on it back in the day. If you go and look at some of the older videos that I did. And I love the Catalina foothills. This is another thing that's a shocker, because this isn't the kind of thing that happens right in the Catalina foothills. Oddly enough, if you remember when Reese Quibell, relatable Reese, that woman, came to visit me in Tucson, we had a hotel room that we filmed at right before I went home. No, I did. Don't look at me like that. Right before I went home. However, that hotel room, we did a Cults and Crims there. It was literally a quarter of a mile from the intersection of where those two streets are, Campbell and Skyline. In fact, the hotel was on Skyline. It might have been a little bit more than that. Might have been a half a mile to a mile, but it was right in that neck of the woods. I was telling Reese earlier that she's been there. And it's always a more of a, I don't know what the right word is. It's always more of a situation. My two brothers and I take turns being with my mom. She doesn't know we do that. When I lived in Arizona, we did stuff like that. We absolutely did stuff like that, where you say, "Hey, I'm taking mom out on Friday. What are you doing? Are you doing anything this weekend? Take mom out." And that was a super chat. Rue, as soon as my chat turns back on, I would like to put it up there. And I can't begin to tell you, there have been this show brought to you by Rue. There have been many, many shows that Rue has just sort of kept me going. In fact, there's been weeks and months sometimes. Taylor says, "Gosh, I lost my father at 21. Oh my God. I am so sorry, Christianese. My world crashed. Can't imagine caring with kids. I'm glad I didn't have to care for him. It's helped my grief." Amazing memories. Well, that's fantastic. Honestly, that's fantastic, because very often people don't. It could be censoring comments. That very well may be it. I don't know. I certainly get censored. Thank you, Rue. And isn't that doggy beautiful? Unfortunately, every time I put one of those up, Reese goes, "I want one of those dogs." Reese really has a thing for those small dogs. And it's not that I don't. I think Chihuahuas are some of the coolest animals ever. It's just that, like, I don't even run this house. You know what I mean? Squirrel Nut Zipper, she's pretty damn tough, you know? And all right, I'm afraid of her. I'll just tell you the truth. I'm afraid of Squirrel. She's a little furry Reese. Because she is so cute. No, she absolutely is. And I think Chihuahuas are all cute. And I think Reese ought to have one. It's just that I'm afraid of Squirrel. I really am. I'm afraid of her. Is the area she lives in very wooded? No, absolutely not. And that's a great question. It is not. What you have is arroyos. You have mountains. You have cacti. It is not. You have what looks like huge riverbeds that are completely dry. During the season, when the rains come, like during the monsoons, those will be rivers for a day or two. Oh yeah, no, my mom is absolutely spicy, and my dad was a pisser. My honestly, there is no one in history that ever got more blessed. My dad was just absolutely amazing. There's a lot of videos of my father. If you ever want to see Papa Scoville on a video, you can go over to Johnny Scoville's channel, Chase the Heat, and he had a segment that he used to do called "The Cheese That Binds Us." Where he and my dad would eat cheese. And there's a lot of really funny content over there, but you'll understand where we get what we got, like our ability to speak and communicate. That's right. Squirrel Claws Security, Tommy's Protection Service. I'm afraid of her. I'm afraid of Squirrel. Patty King, what's going on is that, unfortunately, Savannah Guthrie, who is kind of famous for being on the Today Show. She was also going to be in the Olympics. She does all kinds of content as a journalist. She's a great career. Her mom, Nancy Guthrie, is missing. She's missing from Skyline Drive and Campbell in Tucson, Arizona, in the Catalina foothills. She went to church to go volunteer and do some help, and didn't come back for the Sunday service the next day, and has been people phoned and said, "Hey, your mom wasn't at church. She's not someone that missed church." And now we have the police, who originally said she was a missing persons. Now it is being investigated as a crime. They're saying that the house is a crime scene, that she definitely left against her will. Some of the estimates have her leaving between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. So they said that she was removed from bed to remove her from the house. She has medication that she absolutely has to take. And if she does not take that medication, her life is in jeopardy. And that's kind of a tough thing. She is 5'5", right? She's about 5'5" and 145, 150 pounds. And she's, I believe, 82 or 84. I can't remember off the top of my head. But she's in her early 80s. And it's a horrific situation. It's obviously very tough on Savannah Guthrie, who is not going to go to the Olympics. It's been announced that she will stay behind. And you can't really blame her. This has got to be one of the most difficult. I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody here, I hope nobody here can imagine. I hope that no one's ever gone through this, but just how painful it has got to be to have a loved one, especially someone at that age who you know is not in peak physical condition. They have said that mentally she's as sharp as a tack. This is not a woman that's going to wander off. She's also not a woman that could walk long distances without assistance. She lives in a very large house in Tucson at the Catalina foothills, which are literally right at the bottom of the hills that you see jam up in Tucson. If you ever watched any of my old content, you would see them all the time, right? We were in the Catalina foothills. So we're not down into Tucson. You're literally hundreds of feet of elevation above it. So you're really at the start of the mountains. And where she was, you're really at the start of the mountains. So she probably was sitting on a lot of land by most people's standards. Like we had an acre. She's probably on more than that. But there are going to be like dry riverbeds that during the monsoons will have rivers in them. There'll be arroyos. There'll be a lot of cactus right around there. But it's not. There is no forest that you can wander in. While there are some mesquite trees, they're few and far in between. You're certainly not going to disappear into a copse of trees. But just horrific. We didn't choose our parents. God chose our parents. We should honor his choice and sovereignty. I love that. What a great comment. Who said that? Pat. What a great comment. Renee B. loved it too. Right? Red flags all over the place, red flags. And what's sad about this is that, I mean, we know statistically speaking that is it a gated community? It is not. These are mansions, but most of them have a gate around the mansion. Most of them will have some kind of a gate or security, although not all of them. My sister did not have a gate. She was one of the few houses that I remember on that part of Campbell that didn't, but not all of them do. No, it's not a gated community. However, it's a really nice part of Tucson. It's not. This isn't where this kind of crime happens. Right. I was part of a Facebook group that would text people when there was a crime that was committed in the Catalina foothills. And they were rare as hell. And when they were, it was always kids that broke into someone's car, and stole money or stole a radar detector. Someone stole a stereo. Someone would go up onto someone's land and grab a bike because the toys that the people in this part of the world had were really expensive. So there would be like tricked out carbon fiber Cannondale bikes or whatever. And a lot of these things got stolen. But this kind of crime just simply doesn't happen in the Catalina foothills. So this has got to be, that makes it all the more scary, I think. But what temperature is it this time of year? Well, it never really gets cold in Tucson, but at night it does. It will drop down at night, but this time of year at night, it might get down to 40 or 50, right? It also could be 60 or 70. It just depends on the day. And during the day, it could get on a hot day, it might get 90. On most days, it's going to be 70 or 80. This is a great time of the year to be in Tucson. Probably the best time, especially in the Catalina foothills, because you're not, like when you're in downtown Tucson, it's usually about 8 to 10 degrees hotter than it is in the Catalina foothills, right? And the higher you go, obviously, the cooler it is. And where she was, yeah, it's a really nice area. And Nina says 75 degrees today. Nina would know. Yeah, 75 is about perfect, isn't it? Isn't this a great time of year in Tucson? Is there underdeveloped desert nearby? There's desert everywhere in Tucson. There's absolutely places that are just desert that are not developed, to be sure. I know exactly how you feel. For always, forever, for life says, I wonder if she has a good friend that she may have gone to their house. I wish that this were the case. However, Did they say anything was missing? No, they're not showing any signs of anything being stolen. There is no signs whatsoever that this is a burglary. But unfortunately, for always, forever, for life, they're calling her house a crime scene. They said that there are things that they saw there, and they're not going to say what it is. But there's no chance whatsoever that she left of her own will. Now, whether or not that's a camera that picked that up, whether or not there's signs of a struggle, we don't know. We know that she didn't take her medication, she didn't take her purse, she didn't take her phone. Right? Nobody leaves the house, and especially a woman in her 80s is going to leave without her purse. There is no chance in hell. And they've ruled out, dementia or Alzheimer's. She wouldn't have been able to walk far enough to get away anyway. Although her mind is as sharp as a tack, her body is not. She's at the age where her body is failing, and walking a couple of 100 yards would have been a struggle for her. So what they need is a crap load of ones, right? The family needs some prayers, and we need a miracle. Frickin' puzzling, says Patty King. Absolutely it is. Now, it's going to be a lot less puzzling, unfortunately, very shortly, because at some point they're going to tell us what it was at that house that made them believe this was a crime scene. And it's going to be painful. And again, my heart goes out to Savannah Guthrie. People are talking about her politics. I don't care if she's a communist, right? I don't care if she is a anarchist. I don't care if she's right wing, left wing, middle wing, no wing, right? Little wing. It's just not something that should come up, right? This is a tragedy. And that tragedy is affecting a family full of people. Savannah Guthrie lost her father when she was very, very young, and mom raised them on her own. And this just sucks. It sucks. And I really hope that no one, that's right. That's beautiful, right? That's beautiful. She's human. And I really hope that, thank you very much. What a kind thing to say. I really appreciate that. That's very, very kind of you. I really would just like to believe that a miracle is going to happen, right? I'm holding what, well, here's the thing, Patty King. There are already people that are saying because Savannah Guthrie, somebody even on this channel already said it, that MAGA people probably grabbed her because they don't want it. There's already people saying dumb shit, right? Sadly. Hey, Pat Allen, what's happening, New Zealand? Good to have you here, man. But let me tell you something. First, the shock happens, right? The shock originally happens, and people, have some form of respect. Once the shock starts to wear off, and there's been hours of people talking about it, the scumbags are going to come out of the woodwork. I'm just going on the record quick as shit to say anybody that turns this political, they're people that you shouldn't talk to again. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Unless you're just telling them that they're a piece of shit, because this is not something that ever should go that way, man. If politics is all you have, get a life. Patty King, I love it. How would someone who abuses and or kills an elderly person be treated in prison? Exactly like a child molester. That's how they would be treated. They'll be treated like the crime that they did is the most abhorrent shit that anyone on earth has ever done. They will have no sense of humor for it at all. And there's a good chance that they will be hurt at every single chance that someone has to take a shot at them. And that is if they were to assault or hurt someone who's elderly. This person is elderly and famous. So it's not going to be, because sometimes they'll try to fly under the radar, or they'll come in there and say something like, well, I was robbing the person. She came at me with a gun. They'll come up with a line of bullshit, right? This, no matter how this pans out, this is going to be famous, unfortunately. But again, I'm holding out hope. Oh no, says, Joanne Marie. Oh no, hate to think of them getting hurt in prison. Well played. Well played. Beat me to it. 5K1. KO5. Do you mean 5K1? 5K1 is a deal made with the government. These guys are just called NC status, nothing coming. That's usually, this is, you hurt animals, you hurt kids, you hurt senior citizens, you're screwed. The guys, and think about it. Everyone has an older parent on the street, You're in there hearing that somebody does something to someone outside. I mean, we have kill on sight. I thought that was a 5, not an S. Oh, they're green lit. They're kill on sight, to be sure. Absolutely, they're kill on sight. And usually they'll open the doors and say, it doesn't matter what race gets them. And that's rare. Normally you have to be taken out by your own people. But there are certain things. Patty King, I have that same feeling in my stomach. However, I am going to absolutely continue to pray and believe that this is going to be a miracle, man, that this is going to be something great that happens. Even in the little two-stoplight town I live in, an elderly woman was sexually assaulted and murdered for no damn reason at all. It's mind-boggling. It's just a sickness. It's a sickness, and it can be cured with a wood chipper. These people just need to be fed into a wood chipper feet first because they're not going to be rehabilitated. That's simply the truth. They don't rehabilitate those kind of freaks, right? So they're going to continue to reoffend, and they're going to do it for the rest of their lives. But I'm with you, Corey. I really am. I am absolutely with you. And I'm with Patty. I have a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, but I'm not going to give up hope. And I hope no one else does. I hope that everybody, no matter what your affiliation is, if you're religious, say a prayer. If not, some positive thoughts or whatever it is that you do when someone like this is in that kind of situation. Well, apparently, and I was going to do a show about this tonight, but I wanted to, we are a very kind group of people here, and I was hoping to get as many people praying about this as I could, for real, which is why we're doing this show. But tomorrow we'll be talking about the new rumors that are coming out, which is exactly about what Nick is doing in prison, or I should say in jail, rather, because he's putting on quite a show by all accounts, and I will be going over that tomorrow. But they seem to be, the narrative is pretty strong in this one right now, really strong, which I find odd. No, absolutely not, man. The elderly should be revered and respected. I agree with you, man. Marissa Martin, thank you very much for your kindness. Marissa says, just got here, but one's for Savannah Guthrie's mother. It is a crap situation. This is the shit sandwich for that family. And unfortunately, it's just kind of the reality of where they're at right now. But I do believe that Nancy Guthrie is going to be the miracle that they find, and they find her alive. And until I hear otherwise, I really want to believe that. Well, I heard this, but I may have heard this once before. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that Barbara Waite. But we will just have to see. You know what, Just Joan, you're really having a hell of a night. Because Just Joan's response was, no, it means we're human. Schadenfreude. When somebody does something so foul and so disgusting that just putting them in prison isn't good enough, the fact that we go, oh no, when somebody stomps that person out like a brush fire does not make you a bad person, right? It doesn't. It does make you human, right? We want to see justice be done. And what kind of justice can you get for somebody who decides to victimize a woman in her 80s? The fellas, right? Sadly, that's really what's going to happen, man. Head creeps. What's up, my brother? Glad that you are here. I really hope that Savannah Guthrie's mom goes walking through the door here shortly. I hope that we don't hear a press conference where they say that, we found her body, or when they come out and tell us what happened at that crime scene, because something happened there. Patty King says demonic. How can you argue with that? How can you argue with that? I mean, and look, some people take demonic to mean that they're literally worshiping the devil, and some people take that to believe that it is just so damn evil that nothing else on earth sums it up better than saying this is of demons, and I tend to agree with that. There are all kinds of uses for wood chippers. I mean to tell you, and I loved that scene from Fargo. Not so much that he's putting them in there, but when she walks up and goes, can I assume that's your accomplice there in the wood chipper? She's fantastic in that movie. She really is. All right, people, that brings us to the 1 hour mark. I will implore you, if you're somebody that prays, do it, right? Pray for this woman. And This is when human beings, right, need to come together. And whether you believe in the power of prayer or anything else, there's been a lot of studies to say that when a bunch of people get together and start pulling in the same direction, whether it's God or whether it's universe or it's positive thought or whatever it is, let's just assume that it works, and let's all do our best. It's not going to hurt you, and man, it might just make a miracle happen. And I would love to come on here tomorrow and say that Nancy Guthrie has her medication. She's at home, and her daughter is going to spend a day or two with her and then head out to the Olympics. I think that would be absolutely beautiful, right? And I don't know. I did a show earlier where I was talking about Darrell Brooks and how he's spending the rest of his life in prison and he has no hope. There's still hope here, right? There's still hope here. And no matter how bad life is, right? I don't know, Renee B. I piss off the big red button a lot, but you can give it a try after this one. Usually when I'm no longer live, you can hype it. You can't hype it while I'm live. But 186 of you did it last week. How beautiful is that? You guys are fantastic. Maybe it was 176. It was either 176 or 186. But that's a big deal, and it means the world to me. You guys are keeping me alive in spite of the fact that the algorithm is not being particularly kind to us, because I say things you're not supposed to say, and I will continue to do it, right? I'm not going to say that they're looking for SMEX offenders. They're going to be looking for rapists. That's the first list that they're going to go through. Run the World says, I was able to hype yesterday. Thank you for your support. If you guys have not hit subscribe, please do so on the way out. We cover true crime like no one else. And hit the bell for notification if you hit subscribe, because I go live a lot. This was 2 shows today. Some days we get 4 shows in. There's a lot going on in true crime. Patty King, I'm glad that you're here too. I really am. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, do me a favor, right? And continue to pray for this family. Please do that. And hey, stop over and check out my wife's channel, Relatable Reese, and make sure you check out the Johnny Scoville at Chase the Heat, because there's some really cool stuff that's about to happen on that channel. Been waiting for it for a long time, folks, but it's D-Day. I'm Tommy. God bless. We'll see you on the next one. Thoughts and prayers with the Guthrie family. Good night, all.